our next story we're gonna go into is our technology financial uh segment where I bring you guys a little news on what's going on financially in the world, economically, and also some tips, sometimes some advice. But I'm not a financial advisor. I am not. I'm just a streamer. I'm just a YouTuber. So remember that. And but I'm always gonna bring that to you because I believe financial freedom and financial literacy is very important. Um, I doing this for financial freedom and for my family and kids and kids in the future, for everybody to be good. You see what I'm saying? So in turn, I'm always gonna speak highly of being financially secure, financially uh intelligent, and financial literacy. And on this next segment here, I kind of picked this segment today because of what's going on in California with the fire and everyone losing their home, comparing that with kids nowadays that can't even afford that. A lot of kids now. Back in the day, right? I always mention back in the day, you know, you could be a mailman, have two, three kids, a wife at home, and you making, whatever you're making. Let's say 50,000, making 50,000, and you'll be able to take care of all of them on a home, etc., and be comfortable. Family vacation, birthdays, everything is fine. Everybody's happy. Compared to now, same job, you're a mailman, you probably can't afford to leave to get a one bedroom apartment. You probably can't afford to have a one bedroom apartment. And it's just to show you how the dynamic has changed, because back in the day, you go to college, you graduate, you get a job, and you get a house, and you get the dog and the kids, and etc. And you'll be able to do that working your normal 9 to 5. Nowadays, it's very different. To have a home, nonetheless a beautiful home, a big house, to do that, and to have the family and the career and everything, it takes so much more. Same age, same job, same position, right? And those two different generations are doing completely different things. Now, with the same job and the same money, you're not able to do the same thing. So this is a big concern because you have a lot of young kids, 25 to 30, that are at home. 25 to 30 back then, our parents already had two kids, house, family life. By 25, 26, 28, which feed into the reason why people are having kids later on now. People are having kids at, 39, 40. As a man, you're having kids in 40s or close to 50s. As a woman, if you got the right situation, you're having kids around 35 to 40. Because it takes a longer time now to be ready. It takes a longer time now to get ready to have that picket fence, beautiful home and lifestyle. The American dreams take a longer time now. Let's watch this video here and kind of understand. You'll kind of understand where I'm coming from with this sentiment, because I do feel like it's unfair, because these kids nowadays are left not being able to do anything. Forget getting an apartment, forget getting a house.
Starter homes are disappearing from the United States. In the early 1980s, as many as 40% of the new homes built were considered entry-level. By 2023, just 9% fit the criteria.
Give it another 20 years and literally no young person will be able to afford to purchase a home, period.
Meanwhile, a slowdown is mounting in the home building industry, which could contribute to the ongoing decline of the starter home.
Both housing starts and building permits, which are an indicator of future construction, have slowed down this fall, and it's not just seasonal.
There are over 3 million potential first-time home buyers in the country. They're up against high home prices that keep rising.
What you're starting to see are mini price bubblets in markets that are an hour, 2 to 3 hours from major metropolitan cities.
It is such an unusual market because we have an all-time low of first-time home buyers, but an all-time high of all cash buyers.
So where did all the starter homes go? A starter home is typically modest in size and price.
It's the most affordable home in any market. If you're in the Midwest, maybe it's in the $100,000 range. If you're in California, a starter home might be in the $400,000 range.
To me, a starter home used to be a smaller condo, a smaller space, and someone would upgrade maybe after 5 years as they get married or have a family and want to move. But now we're actually seeing that most people are buying their first home as a single family residence and really planning on staying in place.
America's home builders are making fewer of these kinds of units.
If you look at the number of single-family starter homes, those defined as being 1,400 square feet or smaller, we used to supply anywhere between 400 and 500,000 units a year.
Over the past decade, builders have put up less than 100,000 homes each year.
Really, by far, the number one reason is the increasing difficulty that many builders have in dealing with zoning regulations.
Zoning laws are set at the local level. These laws can determine the size of each lot in a neighborhood. They can also specify how far a structure is set back from the property line, how tall it is, or how many units are on site. In many cases, these laws create an opportunity for local residents to challenge new development. The residents often raise concerns like overcrowding of schools and wear and tear on local roads.
A lot of this has to do with density restrictions within local communities. They may not want a townhouse or a condo community coming in, but they absolutely will welcome a single family community.
Zoning codes are found all around the country. The most restrictive ones are often found in major cities.
Many builders are not leaving money on the table. They are just simply unable to build, or it's become so expensive to build that they can only build high-end single-family and high-end multifamily.
Given the high price of land,
Yeah, because that's where they're going to get their money and people are going to be able to buy. So building all this high end. So what that does, it cuts out the young kids that can't afford $3,000 a month, $4,000, $6,000 a month for a huge house. You know, some are fortunate, not everybody, some are fortunate to have it. But the majority of kids now will have to wait in their late 30s to be able to buy a house like that White House here.
land, labor, materials, it's very difficult for big home builders to build the entry-level homes. There are a couple who specialize, like D.R. Horton, which has an express homes division, which specializes in starter homes. But for medium-sized builders, it's just very expensive in order to pencil all the costs they have and make it affordable to that lower-end buyer.
As a result, home builders and first-time buyers are targeting further-flung locations.
We've definitely seen a trend toward purchasing a home further from the urban core. So you do see a lot of new construction in suburbia and exurbia.
Home values are now rising most rapidly in low-density and rural areas. Experts say that relaxing these codes could lead to higher levels of home building and preserve affordability.
For example, in San Antonio, there's some builders that are building sub 1,000 square feet single-family detached homes, right? Which would have been almost unthinkable just a few years ago. So the market is reacting, but its response mechanism is really limited because of the rules of the game.
Some areas with less restrictive zoning codes are welcoming many newcomers. For an example, see Metro Atlanta.
home is in Atlanta now. I'm currently in Decatur, Georgia, which is right outside of the perimeter, so I have easy access to the city. It gives a little bit more of suburban-ish kind of feel. It's just the culture, the energy, the aesthetic, the environments, a more elevated experience in day-to-day living, honestly.
Lillian Mantaya is a filmmaker and entrepreneur. She was in line to buy a home in the Baltimore area in 2024, but that plan fell through. Since then, she's moved to Atlanta to live with her sister and come up with a new plan.
I did grow up in Baltimore. I gave Baltimore a shot in my adulthood with my children, and I did the 9 to 5, and it's
Probably too expensive. These houses right here, guys, because they've been there a long time and property value going up, and they're not really nice houses. They look like Philly row homes, but most kids, you know, young people like us and others, they can't afford these homes. They can't afford these homes. They probably rent a room in the back somewhere, but they can't afford to buy the whole thing and pay for it and live there comfortably.
tempted to buy a house there and everything, but Baltimore wasn't providing just the lifestyle, resources, community that is needed for me to thrive. And Atlanta has been able to kind of just support me more.
Experts say that more dense forms of housing could have helped first-time buyers, particularly in crowded areas.
We do know that local communities are trying to address the lack of housing inventory in pretty unique ways. So accessory dwelling units is certainly a popular approach right now. That's one solution, but I think we need to be looking at adaptive reuse as well. So looking at vacant hotel motels, looking at vacant residential malls, and how do we bring residential housing?
And that's another thing now. Because of Amazon and all the online shopping, people don't go to the mall. When's the last time you've been to a mall to shop? Like, we use the mall like we used to use it back when we were kids. We'll just go walk around. We'll still shop, buy a few things. But no one sit there and plan on shopping at the mall. We just look up what we want online and we buy it. So a lot of malls all around America, because mall was a big thing. Every town had a few malls, and because everyone would go shopping at the mall, it's a shopping center for people that's shopping for school, shopping for clothes, shopping for items, knives, plates, things of that nature. Normal consumer things, right? We used to use the mall for it. The mall in the city here where I live, it's empty. It's empty. So a lot of these malls here are probably switching to residential rental. And I've seen that. I've seen it done where a mall turn all the stores in there into residential. You can't, they have into smaller apartments for people that can't afford the $2,000 a month, $1,800 a month, $2,500 a month for an apartment. In the city, apartments are like 3,000-4,000, one bedroom. So the people that can't afford that, the mall will be a better alternative, because we could turn one of those small stores into an apartment or two, and now you pay 1,000, you pay 1,200. Something that somebody working a normal 9 to 5, a normal at a store or something along that line, not making six figures, can afford. And believe it or not, guys, most people don't make six figures.